All right, Coach. Let's just talk about the end of the year. Now that you've got into
You got to
2016.
bring that back up. Huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, just now that you've had a chance to kind of let it set in, just your thoughts on last season, how it played out, and maybe what you're going to take from that season as we move into 2016.
That was a really good step in the right direction, but still more out there on the table that we just didn't accomplish. Obviously, I'm excited about it. To go 8-0 in conference and win a championship is huge, and I don't want to minimize what the guys were able to do. And there were some tough fights in there, and there's some things we had to do that I'll always remember. I think we're always going to remember the fourth quarter at South Isle. I think we're always going to remember the second half at App State and the win on the road. And just anytime you can go undefeated in a conference, it's hard to do. It's just tough. It's a good league. But to lose the bowl game and to have had an opportunity to beat Missouri in positions of both those, or in both opportunities where I thought we could have taken advantage, you just feel like you didn't get the most out of what we were capable of being. I thought 10 or 11 wins was something that was obtainable. And were we quite good enough? Don't know. Were we mature enough? Obviously not. We didn't get it done, but it puts in your mind, or at least it put in my mind before, even before, really got a day outside the New Orleans Bowl, was that we got to raise the bar. We got to raise the expectations. Coaches, players, even fans to a certain degree, we got to be willing to give a little bit more and expect a little bit more. And we've got to make a big step forward in those cross-conference line games. We're going to get an opportunity to do that again this year. Big schedule, tough schedule. And we've got to maintain our intensity inside the league. And all that means we got to go right back to work. I mean, it's that simple. We got to go right back to work and raise the bar and turn it up a notch.
Everything revolves around recruiting at this business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the lifeblood of any program.
Yeah.
You guys have ratcheted it up. I mean, since you've been here, and it's really kind of hard to believe, when we look at this with National Signing Day just around the corner, with all the turnover that we've had here. Well, for you guys, I mean, yeah, you're going into year 3, but you're actually being able to put a stamp on this, because most people don't realize, yeah, it's year 3, but how many recruiting classes you guys have been a part of here. And so that makes a big difference in regards to depth and where you want to be when we start talking 10, 11, 12 wins.
Yeah. First conversation we had as a staff is, I kind of stopped everything midstream and said, look, understand my philosophy that we can talk X's and O's all we want. We can talk facility. We can talk whatever you want. The most important conversation we will have every day is recruiting. We don't bring players in here that can get the job done. It doesn't matter what scheme we run. It doesn't matter what our buildings look like. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. If we don't, and we recruit every day, 365 days a year. Whether it's on the phone, whether it's by Twitter, whether it's watching tape, whether it's bringing kids, there's not a day that goes by that we are not actively recruiting. And I think the biggest thing that we did from year 1 to year 2 was change our roster. And not necessarily the starters, but the role players and the number 2s and number 3s, and the ability to play 11 different guys on the D-line. That we couldn't even play 5 of the guys on the D-line the year before. The ability to rotate guys like Chris Murray, and the ability to rotate all those big bodies. And I mean, I thought the job we did at changing the roster in a year is almost unheard of, honestly. And it was guys doing a great job of beating the bushes. Non-traditional recruits, guys that were not a National Signing Day guy that we found that came and contributed. And we're trying to do that again in the next cycle. Find guys that fit the National Signing Day model, but also always be aware of an opportunity to bring a kid in that doesn't fit that mold, but makes us better. That's always the same question. Does this kid impact our football team? Does he make us better? And you find guys already in this next cycle that fit that mold, that do make us better, that for whatever reason came across our desk, and our guys are willing to look at them and do the background check, investigate, and get to know them. And I think if you look year by year at that kind of work that this group of dudes has done in the office, it's really been remarkable. And we're not done yet. There's still a lot of holes to fill. Nature of transition. We're going to have a big senior class. There's going to be a mass exodus of players this next year, and so we have to maximize that and utilize it and be good with what we got. But we also have to prepare for the mass exodus and understand that we don't want for things to start over or drop. And so it's a lot of fun to have a big senior class, but it's scary because you know what's coming after it too. So it's a constant process.
You guys,
I don't know if I answered your question at all.
No, you did. But you guys have had the ability to get some guys in here that most people look at and you get a wow out of. It's like, wow, those guys are coming to Arkansas State, particularly transfers.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at some of the names out there and just the schools, I mean, when you're saying, you know, TCU, Texas, Oklahoma, I mean, we're Alabama with D. Liner. I mean, throwing those names out there, I mean, how is it that you guys attack that? Because it seems like to me since day one in talking to you guys that there's not a recruit that you guys are afraid to go after. When some coaches and staffs are like, we don't have no chance at that, we're going to just waste our time.
What's the worst thing that can happen? They tell you no. Look, I grew up around a life insurance agent. My dad's a life insurance agent. I sold life insurance with him for 2 years. You're going to get told no a lot more than you're going to get told yes, all right? I don't mind being told no. I don't take it personal. I just move on. The only way you're going to know is to ask. Hey, we got a lot to sell here, number one. We got a lot of great things to sell. This is a great fit for a lot of people. It doesn't fit everybody. I don't let that bother me either. At the end of the day, we're going to show them what we got. But we are definitely going to take a run at a guy. And D. Liner, great relationship with Trooper from before. Cameron Eccles, Looper, great relationship. I know his family. Coach Cawthon knows his family. Trooper knows his family. Great relationships in the past. We just ended up committing a quarterback here and signing a quarterback at midterm, Justice Hanson. Lincoln Riley, who was his coach at OU, is a great friend of mine, close friend, and we had it's a right fit. Kendall Sanders played at Texas. You know, his offense coordinator, his receivers coach at Texas are great friends of mine, and they say, look, this guy's not who the media portrays him to be. He's worth a chance. And a lot of people just say, I'm not going to touch it. Well, we ask the questions, and we find out. And what I found out is every time I talk to the kid, every time I talk to somebody that knew the kid, every time I dug a little deeper, I found out, man, I like this kid even more and more, and this is a kid that deserves a second chance. Chris Murray was is a 3-for-3 kid that we got in the summer from Hutch Community College. Why? Because Brian Hurley was willing to do the work and find out. Didn't have a lot of film, watched him play, watched him practice, saw something in the kid, listened to Coach Rhodes, the head coach at Hutch, tell us this is a kid you want to take. Those are the kind of you got to be willing to do that. And if you're not willing to recruit 365, if you're not willing to live it all day, every day, you're going to miss those conversations, or you're not going to put in the time and effort. And it's a great thing about this group of guys on my staff. They all love to recruit. They believe in it like I do. There's never a time when they're not doing it. They're always looking for that next guy.
I know you guys have these conversations, and then obviously it's one of the things we've talked about since day one, and we've talked about it at this program. And with the new format in college football and whatnot, New Year's Six, and you see what Houston has done.
Great job by Tom Herman.
And that is what is envisioned here.
That's our goal. That is it. That is the end goal. The system is still broken, in my opinion, for people like us. We could run the table next year and go 12-0, and I do not believe that the system will allow for us to play in the 14 playoff. Maybe if it was expanded to 8, maybe, but Steve, even then, I still think that what is capable for the group of 5 opponents is to play in a New Year's Six Bowl and represent the group of 5 as the best team in our division or in our class or whatever you want to call it. The Elite 5, Group of 5, we've called it a million different things. Houston did that this year. Tom did a great job. Good friend of mine, came in, changed the culture, utilized players that were already there, and got the most out of them, and went and represented a group of 5 and proved to everybody that we can play at that level. And they beat Florida State. And in my opinion, they won a group of 5 national championship, because even if they'd have won every game, they would have not. There's not one team in that 14 playoff that would have been removed to put Houston in. It is the way the system is. And so I thought he did the best he could do, with the exception of losing one game that I'm sure he'd love to have back. They had a great year and maximize what they got. That is our vision and our goal for here. When we talk about building a monster, we talk about raising the bar. That's what we want. And man, the day after that game, I sent pictures of their celebration at the Peach Bowl and just the way they celebrated and what they got. I sent pictures to our kids and said, "This is what we talk about. Why not us?" And it's time we got to raise the bar another notch, and that's where we want to be. And we've seen Boise do it. We've seen Houston do it. Central Florida, people just like us. And but I don't know if our kids really had that mindset when they chose this place 2, 3, 4 years ago. I know the kids that we're recruiting now, because we tell them before we even bring them in, this is what's going to be expected. I'm not sure that the public, that our fan base truly thought that was possible. Is it a huge goal? Yes. Is it tough to obtain? Absolutely. Is it going to take everything working in our? Yes, it is. But that is still the goal, and that's why we get up every morning and hit the floor running. That's what we see as the destination.
The biggest challenge to that is obviously when we talk non-conference. You mentioned that a little bit. The biggest hurdle of that, getting over that non-conference hump. I mean, you've got to go, and in most times you're going to be on the road. I mean, you guys had a brutal
we had a chance
start.
to do it here at home against Missouri, and we didn't get it done. Bottom line, we did not get it done. We had them on the ropes, we're ahead, and we didn't finish it. Maybe we weren't ready to yet. I don't know. We lacked something. Confidence, killer instinct. It didn't hurt that Freddie went down and we had to throw a freshman out there. It's not James's fault. We could have helped him in a lot of different ways, but we had that opportunity. There's 2 ways to think about non-conference schedule. Schedule 4 people you can beat and go 4-0, or you schedule people that are going to get people's attention. And we've got Auburn, Toledo, Utah State. That's an SEC opponent that is beatable. It's going to take a great game. We're going to play a great game on the road at their place. They are physically better than us in a lot of areas. I already know that before we ever go. But they're going to play that Saturday against us. And if we can create turnovers and we can get the ball in the end zone, we have a chance to win that game. We got Toledo coming to our place. They beat us twice. They're one of the best teams in the MAC. It will be a huge challenge, and it is important to us to beat those guys right here at home. And then we've got Utah State, who's one of the best teams in the Mountain West. If you win 3 games or you win 2 of the 3 and you play competitive in the third, you have at least shown that across conference lines that you're a good enough opponent to be talked about in the top 25. We've got a 1AA opponent we got to beat here at home, Central Arkansas. And then we've got our conference schedule, which means we got to run the table, which is hard enough in itself. Man, we know what the challenge is, but we have the schedule that allows you, if you go 11-1 or 12-0 with that schedule, there is no way you're not in that conversation as the best Group of 5 team in the country. Now the question is, can we get it done? Our kids know that's the goal. They know that's what we expect. And they also know that's how hard we're going to work, because that is what we expect.
When you guys are out talking to recruits, obviously they pay attention, they see things, and TV has been a big deal. I mean, you guys have been on TV every week.
Great exposure.
And so when you're going and you're playing a USC, you're having a Missouri on the ropes. I mean, these recruits and these upper tier recruits and these transfers, I mean, they've got to see those things and know that they play a role in that. Do you guys use things like that to get kids over the hump?
Yeah, I mean, you use everything you can. We explain the strategy behind scheduling and who we're going to play, and that we're always going to play some Power 5 opponents. We've got Miami coming here next year. I think that fires some kids up. Some kids, it doesn't matter. Every kid's different. Some kids, it's the relationships. Some kids, it's the facilities. Some kids, it's opportunity to play. Some kids, it's the system. Some kids, it's all the above. Heck, some kids probably picked us because of the color of our uniforms, and I wouldn't even know. I mean, what makes a kid, trigger what gets him across the hump? We got to find what that is. It's part of the challenge. Is it a parent? Is it a mom? Is it the dad? Is it the coach? Is it the girlfriend? Part of the challenge is finding out who's going to help make decisions, what really is important to them. The academic side of things has been huge. The study abroad program, the job placement through mentoring have been important. The cost of attendance stipend has been huge. the recent upgrade in facilities in the indoor has made a tremendous impact. Everything matters. Everything matters. And if you're standing still, you're getting behind. You have to continually be moving forward and showing progress. And so we're not done. We've got to, what's the next step? We got a complex we need to build. We need to finish that new complex. Not just for us, but for, the program in general, where we're headed. It shows that we're committed. There's other things that I know we got to do here on campus and other sports that, again, show our commitment to always moving forward. The med school's huge for the university, and what that means, our commitment academically. All those things matter to somebody. You just don't know which living room you're going to be sitting in that it matters to the most. And you won't really know that till you're sitting there.
Shifting gears a little bit, obviously everybody's excited to have Coach Anderson back again. And
Coach Anderson's excited to be back again.
But obviously it shows the success of the program when people start looking at the people that work for you and with you. You've always said that. You said that from day one, that people work with you, not for you. But, losing Walt Bell, obviously a guy that you're very close to, and then, recently Anthony Tucker. Just how do you handle that? Because you guys are such a close-knit group. Everybody, when you walk in this office, everybody's on the same page. Now with that, there's going to be some change, and you're going to have some new blood in here, really for the first time since you've gotten here.
Yeah, I've been fortunate. I've been really fortunate.
How do you handle that, and how are you handling that?
Well, one, I'm not rushing into it. I want to be really deliberate and very specific about what my goals are and what I want, and what type of person. Relationships, personality are huge to me. Environment. We're going to do what we do offensively. That's not fixing to change. We've been doing it since 2004, 2002, whatever, however long, I forget. But we've been doing it a while. We're not changing. We change a little every year anyway, but we're not changing. The philosophy and the scope of what we are is not changing. So it's more important to me to get the right people. And, I want to make sure that we maintain our diversity in staff. We're going to make sure that we bring in another minority coach. I think it's important today. I'll never, ever have less than 3. I'd love to have 4 or 5 on staff if the opportunity presents itself. And so we'll make sure, and I'm going to at least have 1 minority coach on staff. And I'm interviewing 8 of those guys on Monday in San Antonio at the convention. All of them come highly recommended by guys either on this staff or people that I trust. And I'm going to find the right guy that fits what we believe in: faith, family, having fun, and it's going to be great ambassadors of this school, that love our kids. We'll teach the X's and O's to them. They don't have to be a coordinator. They just got to, love coaching running backs and love kids, and are going to be a great fit in the community. That's what I'm looking for. Coordinator-wise, I've got a lot of options. I can elevate from within. I can run it myself, which part of me wants to do, but I'm not sure it's the right decision because there's so many other things that I do outside of X's and O's. And I've got 2 or 3 guys I trust, that I would love to have here, that just kind of working through their time frame as to see if this is what they want to do. The worst thing I can do is be in such a hurry that I do something, at a spur of a moment. It needs to be thought out. It's one of the things I learned from Larry Fedora. He's the slowest hiring person I've ever seen. And when you look back, he's typically made good decisions. Slower than I ever wanted him to. Way more deliberate than I ever wanted him to be, but it was one of the things he said: just be patient. Don't feel like you gotta rush, because we're not going to change. Whether it be offense and the culture's not going to change. But I want to move as fast as I need to, but not any faster than that. It's going to be about people. It's going to be about relationships. It's going to be about guys that you can talk to, guys that I can talk to, guys that our kids want to play for. That's the most important thing for me.
And this is not to put you on the spot or anything.
No, go ahead.
But obviously, when you hear, this community, how this community is, how do you deal with suggestions as far as people always throwing names out, things like that?
I get suggestions every day, 24/7, 365. Should have called this, should have not called that, shouldn't have run that punt fake from the -10, should have gone for it on 4th down. When I got here, there was a lot of argument and anger about I didn't keep the old defensive coordinator. I think people have figured out real quickly I had a pretty good plan on who I was hiring, and the guy I hired was good at what he does. Not taking anything away from JT, he just wasn't my guy. I got the right guy. I've been second guessed a million times. It's the nature of my job. It comes with the territory. I do not, just so people know, I don't listen to any of that. No, I just don't. Yeah, you can't do this job and worry about what people on the outside think about it. I pray every morning about doing the job the right way, in a way that honors God, honors this university, honors my family. Those are the only people that I answer to. And now, it does bring up some great conversation. And I know there's some folks that people would love to see around here. They're probably going to be disappointed, but guess what? If those people are the most qualified for the job and they fit what I want, they're going to get hired. And I'm going to look at all those people anyway, because they need to be looked at. But I'm going to hire who fits this situation, our family, right now, at this particular time, the best. And those may or may not be some of those people that they throw out there. But it doesn't offend me, and it doesn't bother me. Heck, I think I got into a conversation on social media the other day about that very same thing. I stirred the pot a little bit just to keep things going. I'm not afraid to laugh about the whole thing.
Okay, so when the name Ryan Applin has been brought up
Yeah.
about your staff, I mean,
I'm going to interview Brian Applin. I'm going to sit down with him and interview him for a couple hours. I don't know Ryan Applin like the public does here. I didn't get the luxury of coaching the guy for 3 or 4 years. I've got a kid playing for the Cleveland Browns, Austin Davis. I feel the same way about Austin that the community here feels about Ryan. But I don't have that history with him, so I'm trying to build it. And he's going to get an interview. I'm going to talk to him, and if he comes to be a way to be the right guy for a position in the future, I will hire him. I will not hire him just because people on the outside think he is a great coach or a great guy, which he's probably both. I got to hire the guy that fits us and me in our situation, whether that be him or anybody else. I promise you this: whoever I bring in here is going to do a great job and is going to represent our university well and is going to make us proud. And it may or may not be him or any other guy that's been listed on any other, the guy that doesn't punt, or you name it. Just it's somebody different every day. But I understand. I mean, I don't get offended by that at all. I understand why the people here love him so much. He's a great player. He's a great ambassador. And there'll come a day and time when he's a coach here. I don't know if that's going to be now or 10 years in the future. He'll end up being here if he wants to at some point, because this is his home. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's the right guy for the job. Now, I don't know. I hadn't even interviewed the guy yet.
all right. So moving forward now, obviously with National Signing Day coming up, it's as we call it, the dead period.
For a couple more days.
For a few more days, yeah. Explain to everybody going from when that clock hits 12:01 a.m. or whatever on the 14th, and you guys start going again until National Signing Day, what you guys are going to do in that process, because a lot of people aren't as heavily into recruiting.
Yeah.
They just see, oh, we got a commitment, and they don't
Yeah.
understand dates, and they don't understand no contact, they don't understand quiet period, they don't understand any of that stuff. But from that day until National Signing Day, your staff's plans.
Well, even though this is a dead period right now, nothing has really stopped. We're just not on the road. But when I was on the phone all day yesterday with recruits, nonstop, all the way until last night, until closing out a quarterback. So nothing slows down. When we hit the 14th, it opens back up contact period, and basically every one of us will be on the road every day, all day until the contact period is up. Now we've got 2 visits during that time as well. We have 2 weekend visits, one weekend of the 23rd, and then again another one the weekend of the 29th, whatever those 2 weekends are, where they'll come to us. Families will come to us, big weekends. But then other than that, we're on the road. And typical day for us is to stop into 4 or 5 different high schools during the day, stop into maybe 2 different homes at night. For me, I might be in 3 different states in the same day. Fly one place, stop, see coach, see kid, see family, fly, stop, see coach, see kid, see family, stop, see coach, kid, family. We've had days, Tucker and I laughed. We had a day last year we went to Memphis, we went to Knoxville, we went to Birmingham, we went to Atlanta, and I finished the afternoon in Mississippi. That was one day of a recruiting day for me. And from the 14th till dead period, that's what my days are going to be like. It'll be 7 in the morning till whatever time we finish at night. We may leave a house at 10:30. to get it all in. And it's all about sitting in front of every parent, sitting in front of every kid, sitting in front of every coach, and looking them in the eye and shaking hands and doing it the way my dad taught me and telling them the truth. This is what I'm going to be accountable for. This is why your son, your student, your player, this is why you need to be here. And always there's an assistant coach, a recruiting coach, position coach involved in those conversations. And we may be sitting in your room, but there's 9 other coaches doing the same thing, and you're doing that every day until the recruiting period stops. So we got a handful of guys we're trying to hang on to that are committed already, which is a challenge because everybody's coming after them. And then we've got a handful of guys we're trying to close out that would fill the 2 or 3 spots that are available. And then we got a handful of guys that we got on deck in case we lose somebody that we got to be ready to go to. And it's chaotic at best, but it's also something you got a passion to get it done, and it's a challenge to compete and win and get the guys you think that make us better, that fit us, and just, I remember the night before our first signing day here, with me and Trooper still in here on the phone at 3 in the morning with Darrell Rollins Davis, and he's still going back and forth between us and Middle Tennessee, and we literally were still on the phone at 3 and back on the phone at 7 to get him signed and get him here. And so those are the times that are pretty cool. You remember, we still laugh about it all the time. We give him a hard time, like, man, I was up at 3 in the morning talking to you. So it's good stuff.
Okay, so obviously getting past National Signing Day, it's gotten to the point in college football, even high school football to an extent, that it never stops. I mean, yeah, you guys just played a bowl game, and it's January, and as we call it, dead period, which it's not really dead, as you just talked about, but we're like 2 months away from spring football.
Yeah, I know, we'll be playing tomorrow.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. So from signing day to spring football, what are you looking at for spring football? And then what do you want to see from the team from spring to fall? And obviously it's different when you have transfers coming in midterm that could come and participate in spring, which is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge, but it's also got to feel good too for some of these guys who have been practicing, who have yet to suit up in a game, to actually, I know you're going to see a difference out of those guys as well, because it's right in their forefront now.
Yeah. Number one, we're really lucky that we've got a strength staff that does such a great job. I talk about it all the time. It's what I found out at this point in my head coaching career is the most important hire I made was my strength coach, and I wouldn't want to turn it over to anybody else. Matt Shadid has done a phenomenal job with his staff, but our kids would do anything for him, and they play with his attitude. The team that you see on Saturday it's not my personality. It's Matt Shadid's. I mean, that's the truth. They spend 90% of their time with him. Now, we're aligned and we're in the same path and we believe and talk about everything, but they play with the attitude of my strength coach, and that's why we created all those turnovers. That's why we're always hustling, it's always flying around. That's him. Which, if you've ever met him, which you have, that's true. That's just who he is. They will start to work the day that they get back to campus on the 19th. They will go to work in the weight room on the 20th. And while we're out recruiting, they will be building that foundation so that when we start spring ball, that very first day of spring ball, my goal, what I want to see is I want us to see us pick up where we left off. Pick up with that intensity, with that expectation level, and then raise that bar over a 15-day period and improve. The worst thing we can do is go back into old ruts, to go back into old mistakes, to think that the old way of doing things is okay, because the old way of doing things got us 9-4. It didn't get us 12-0. It didn't get us 11-1. We've got to take what we learned and build on it and raise the bar, raise the expectation. And we have talked, he and I, nonstop throughout the holidays, sitting around just visiting about really what little small details can we attack to raise the level another notch, and that's the challenge, and that's what's got to happen from January 20th till the first day of spring ball. And those 15 days of spring ball are critical for competition, for a great competition we're going to have between James Tabery and Justin Henson and DJ Pearson and Cameron Burse in the spring. I mean, who's going to lead our team? Who's going to be the guy? I mean, we didn't go out and sign a starter. We went out and signed a guy to come in and compete and create competition. who's going to step up? Is D-liner going to step up and be a starter on the D-line? Or is he going to beat out a guy? Or is Waylon and Swally and those guys going to say, oh, you ain't getting my spot? I mean, those are battles we got to have. All these young wideouts are going to be thrown in. Who's going to be, Kendall Sanders and McKinnis that are coming in, Booker coming in, you throw those. The competition in spring makes us better. And we're lucky, Kyle Wilson coming in at linebacker, throwing him in, Tajay Chambers being healthy, Bo Centimore being healthy again, Donovan Ransom being healthy again. You think about those conversations, that's what's important. Because competition in spring, coming out of spring in 15 days and having, again, raised the intensity level, created more competition with better athletes at every position, that makes us better. And that's taking the next step to prepare us to go into that non-conference schedule next year and be ready. Now, spring alone doesn't get it done. There's a whole summer cycle, and so you go from one phase to the next. But I really believe the next month, building up to spring ball and spring ball itself may be more important this year than it has been in the previous two.
And you talk about that. I mean, I recall mentioning this yesterday because I think a lot of people fall into it. Fans kind of fall into that, oh, we got this guy or whatever. And for me, I just viewed it as, okay, that's just another guy that can compete.
Yeah.
And I think that people kind of lose sight of that because you have players here, student athletes that are here, that they like that challenge every day, and they look at it and they're saying, okay, bring it on. You guys think you know, but
it's a great conversation.
Social media has never, ever won a starting position.
Well, it's great because before we ever decided to move forward on a midterm quarterback, I called our quarterbacks already. I called James Tabry. I said, look, James, I just want you to know that just based off of our board and, with the surgery that DJ had and with, the injuries that we've had along the way, we just feel like we need to investigate a potential midterm guy to come in and compete. He said, Coach, you can bring whoever you want to. I'm going to whip their ass. They're not going to outwork me. I'm going to be the starter. So, Coach, you got to do whatever we got to do as a team to be ready. He said, and I told him, I said, well, we're talking to a couple guys. He said, I don't know how you could. He said, I don't know how you could not bring one in. He said, if you think they help us, then you got to. Coach, I'm going to be the starter. I'm going to win the job. That's the guy you want. Now, whoever wins the job in the spring has got to go through that environment to win it. And whoever wins, it's going to make us better. That's all I'm worried about. And if you got guys that truly care about the team, they cannot shy away from competition. Competition makes everybody better. Iron sharpens iron. And we need competition. If you get in any position where you don't have it, it's not going to perform at its best. A position that knows that there's nobody behind him pushing him is not going to be at his best. Very rarely are guys self-disciplined enough to push themselves to their very best unless there's somebody nipping at their heels every day. And so it's our job to throw competition at the board and then see who rises to that level. And it's funny you say that because that conversation was one of the most rewarding for me because I thought that's what James was, but for it to come out of his mouth without even flinching, told me, all right, we got the right guy here. Let's bring a good guy in to compete. Let's throw those guys out there. Let's get DJ healthy. Let's get Cameron and we're gonna have 4 dudes that are gonna go at it in the spring, and let's see how it turns out. And whoever ends up rising to the top, they were at their best because they had to compete. And that's what we've got to create everywhere at every position. That's hard to do.
Last question for you. From spring and fall and from last season, obviously for you, this is now going into your 3rd year as a head coach. You've been coaching so long that, it's really just a management thing more so than anything else. You know the game in and out. But what is maybe some of the things you learned throughout last year's process, the recruiting into spring, into summer, into fall, throughout the season, non-conference, conference, a bowl game? What are some of the things that you feel like you've picked up, learned that, as you talked about, raising that expectation level and changing maybe and doing things more? What are some of those things that you feel like are going to be things that you have to do this go around?
Well, my wife tells me I'm terrible at delegating. I'm trying to learn to do. I'm terrible. I'm going to do it myself. Just, hey, I'll go do it, guys. I'm doing better at that. I've learned to utilize the talents of guys on my staff. I got so many guys that are capable in so many ways. I always think about trying to do things for them. I always think about trying to serve them and make their job better. And a lot of times, my way of serving them is really letting them have responsibility. And I'm learning how to do that better. I've learned how to be more patient and not be so quickly to act. Even in this job situation where I've got some openings, my initial personality would be, fix that problem today. And I probably would have tried to do that 2 years ago. But I've learned to be a little bit more patient. Some of the decisions I made during the season, some of the disciplinary decisions I made during the season, I made slower. I was more patient. I gathered more information. I mean, I grew up as a, swing first, ask questions later kind of guy. I'm temperamental. I know the fans probably don't understand that. They don't see that side of me, my red hair, fiery temper. I've learned to be more patient and just slow down. And I learned this along the way. I've learned to enjoy the process. I've learned to have fun, smile, and laugh, and enjoy the process with the dudes I love that are around me. That's players and coaches alike. And I did not do a good job of that first half of my career. I'm not going to let that pass me by. And so, man, I'm just trying to enjoy the ride and have fun. And I really am fortunate to say that I get to do that every day. There are a lot of people that go to work every day. There's people watching this right now that do not get to say, I love what I do. I love the people I'm around. And I get to do that. So, man, I'm going to take full advantage of that every single day. We do have to raise the bar. We've got to improve. We've got to be more accountable. We've got to be more disciplined. We've got to be more physical. There's a lot of mores that we've got to, more this, more that. But I think we got the right people in place to move in that direction, and we got kids that are excited about it. You mentioned a couple guys. When I sent out that message right after Houston won the Peach Bowl, I sent that out to my team. The first 2 responses I got, well, 3, Matt Shadid, D-Liner, and Cameron Loop were the first 3 to respond, like, let's go. I'm in. I'm all in. You right, Coach. I mean, it wasn't anything big. It was just, why not us? This is what we raised the bar, and boom, within seconds, I got bang, bang, bang from all 3. We've got guys in here like them. James Tabor's bring it on. We've got guys that want to compete. This is going to be a fun spring.